Hey guys, I got Skeeter in the garage here. Customer brought me. He has a son who is into fishing big time, and he really wants to learn how to use the live sonar stuff. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put an active target tube on this boat. So this is the active target tube. Basically, it's just the outer cover. But what it is he's got Elite units on this boat. Okay, these Elites only have one Ethernet port. We need 3 Ethernet ports to basically connect everything together. So what I'm going to use is this net box. Okay, the net box is Lowrance's network expansion box. So I'm going to put this box in next to the active target and be able to hook everything together as one piece. So let's get going. Okay. At this point I've mounted the active target transducer on the trolling motor shaft here. What I did since this is a Skeeter, they tend to ride bow high in the water. I usually put about 6 inches spacing here. This one you can see we're about 5 inches roughly. So what we'll do is that if it has an issue with hitting the trolling motor itself, what we'll do, we'll just rotate this up just one little ticker notch, okay? So I've used my standard flex roots coming up the shaft here. What I've got done is I put 4 up here. I'll put a loop up there. I just drilled and tapped the holes for the, that's these holes right here, for my mounts. And what I'm going to do is first I've got to vacuum all this stuff up, get all this metal up here. Then I'll route that cable. What I'll do is I'll bring you back after I get the vacuuming done, because it's going to be pretty loud. What we got is I got a loop in here. I've got this loose enough so you can adjust it once we get it in the water, make sure it's the right length. And this is the cable installed on those tabs. What I'm planning on doing right now is on this bow plate, we're going to put this cover. Might be hard to see, but we're going to put this cover here. My cable is going to go through that, and then on this side, we're going to use a switch. And I think the switch is on the floor, but this is the size of the switch. This is the same switch that I showed you in the video on using the switch for the AT yellow wire. So what we're going to do with that is we're going to cut a hole in here. This will be turned on. It'll be lit up, and then they'll know it's basically turned on. All right, here's the battery box area. What we're going to do is I put a 30 amp breaker in here, and I mounted it on a board because Skeeter has this aluminum rail. So we're just going to screw into that. We're going to run this power cord, which I've already pulled up in the compartment here. We'll run it over to the breaker. And then what they did is the previous owner, let's get this camera out of the shadow here. Previous owner, when they put the switch in, they actually put a 2 position here. We're going to put our cable on the empty side of that. And this is basically the main boat power. And then we'll hook our ground up to the ionic battery down here. So that'll be his electronics battery. Here's the sheet. And what it is, we're using cable tags. And so this is the full sheet for that boat. What I've also got is I've got a bunch of smaller labels here. These labels will go on top of the fuse panel. And this one will go in the back there to designate what that breaker is for the electronics. Okay, so those are the labels. All right, I've got the front panel ready to go. I put a switch in. I had to cut a rectangular hole. There we go. Let me get the shadow out of there. I put his cables back through. I ran the active target cable through this hole as well. I'm going to put a cover on it, which is over there. It's one of those teardrop covers. Okay, so we've got that ready to go. And then what I've done is I have put the plug on the back of that switch. This plug's on the back of the switch, and then I've adapted it to a 3-wire cable. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a little jacket on this, and I'll feed it back into the boat, give it plenty of slack, and then once I've done the slack, then I can do the termination back into the starboard locker there. Okay, I have already terminated the power lines or power cords for both the network hub and the active target. The active target has a yellow wire available. That'll get hooked into that 3-wire connection. What I'm doing for the network hub with the yellow wire, as you can see here, I'm just gonna simply take And what I did is I connected them together. So this would correspond to like that method number 1 I showed you in the active target stuff. This is the same, I think, as method number 3 in the active target, activate, the yellow wire piece. But it's also the same as one where it said using a switch. Okay, so that's what we're going to do here. It makes it fairly straightforward. That way he'll turn this switch on. Active target will be turned on. And I believe right now I'm going to put the active target back into this locker back in here. I'm not sure about the network hub because I've got it mounted horizontal because the vertical height on that locker is pretty small. What I'm thinking about doing is just putting it under the console there and putting it vertical. Okay, I got the active target module in place. Because this locker is so shallow, you can see the vertical distance there, I had it rotated on its side. I don't like that as well because it doesn't allow these cooling fins to work quite as well, but they'll still get cool. And I flipped it around this direction to allow for more cooling. So that also protects the cables in the back. You can see that. And then what I'm doing is I'm going to be running, let me get this over here, be running all the cables in this little cable harness. I've got the Ethernet cables already pulled in there. I've got now to do these 2 power cables. I got to cut those to length and then install the fuse block. Okay, I'll bring you back when that's done. Well, I got the network hub installed, the active targets in place. Let me put this around here for you. There's the active target module. There's the fuse block in there. What I have to do next is I've got to clean all that wire. If you see all those loose wires there, I'm going to pull some back where they originate and then tie them up in there, and then we'll get it going. I also have the fuse cover or fuse block cover with labels on it, so that'll get done. So, okay, this is the way your label page should be when you're all done putting all the labels on. It should be empty unless you had extras or blanks. I had 1 blank on this, and I needed it for one of the wires, the bonding wire, which is the bonding wire over here. So here's the where I put everything. So here's our active target module. Got all the wires tied up here. Everything's nice and tidy. And then there's the network switch right there. So hopefully that'll come out. The only thing I have to do is put the cover on that fuse block, which is being a little bit stubborn, but I think it's because I've got this extra heat shrink here and it doesn't fit in the cover right, so we'll fix that. Here is what is left. I'm bundling up the active target cable right here. I've got to do one little loop on the network cable, maybe tie it to the active target cable. I want to leave enough slack in this cable, these cables, so we're good to go. And then what I'll do is I've got to repair this little piece here. You can see in the back of that, it's broken. So what my solution is, because all this plastic's completely gone, I'm going to drill another set of holes on the end, and that should keep it from bowing. Here's the bow all finished up. Got the cover on, called clamshells. Got the clamshell put on. We got the switch ready in place. We have had upsized this screw here because the holes were pretty small. Then what I did is I put 2 new screws in, 1 on each end, and I had filled up the other holes, existing holes. Now this thing is rock solid, which is really good. So we got the unit back in place, cables are done. He's pretty much ready to go. Hey guys, I'm all done with this boat. I've got the new power wiring installed. This is what's left over. We had a 25-foot spool, so I'm used about half of that. The NEPA's installed, the active target's installed. Everything is hooked together through the network box. We've got everything shut down right now. What I've got is that he's going to come by and pick it up tomorrow and take it on the water and test it, and then we'll do a little fine tuning on it. Because this is a Skeeter, Skeeters tend to ride bow high in the water, I've dropped the transducer a little bit lower on the trolling motor than I normally do, and we're just going to see how that works. But again, they tend to ride high. It's only a 45-inch shaft trolling motor too. So we've got to compensate for that. So hey, I appreciate you guys. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. I've noticed a bunch of guys have been getting unsubscribed occasionally. So just check your subscription. If you're subscribed, make sure you still are. If you enjoy the video, make sure you add a like to it. And also, if you got any questions or comments about how I did this, but again, this is really targeting Elite FS systems, but you could take and replace the Elite FSs with Carbons, with Lives, with Pros, and can do the same thing, same configuration. All right, thanks for watching. Appreciate it.